I mean, we had so much fun together. And we laughed together. I don't know. I'm just so blessed.
Wow.
And now my grandchildren are all together.
Goldie Hawn, the woman whose laugh once lit up all of Hollywood. She was pure sunshine, the face of joy, innocence, and that one-of-a-kind movie sparkle that could melt hearts everywhere. But now, at 79, Goldie's no longer hiding behind that golden smile. She's done pretending, and she's finally ready to talk. Once praised as America's sweetheart, she was the woman everyone adored on screen. Yet when the cameras stopped rolling, the whispers started, calling her greedy, fake, and overrated. Can you imagine? The very success she fought so hard to earn became the weapon used to tear her down. Through it all, Goldie never clapped back. She just took notes, smiled quietly, and made one private promise: never to share the screen again with the same people who tried to humiliate her. And now, as she finally opens up, the world is realizing something huge. Behind that perfect, glowing smile lived a storm of hidden pain that nobody ever saw. Then came Warren Beatty. When rejection turned into quiet revenge, everything changed. It started with one small word: no. That's all it took to spark something dark. For Warren Beatty, Hollywood's ultimate charmer and one of the most powerful men of that era, rejection wasn't an answer. It was a challenge. In the late 1970s, with his fame and influence at full blast, Warren started moving in on Goldie. At first, it seemed innocent: a dinner invite, a few glamorous party introductions, and then a private invitation to his Beverly Hills home. Things were about to get real, and Goldie had no idea what she was walking into. Everyone in Hollywood knew what Warren's invitations really meant. No one needed that message spelled out. But Goldie, she stood her ground and didn't flinch. She turned him down with class, calm, polite, confident, and unapologetic. That single moment changed everything. The charm he once showed her disappeared in a blink, and the energy around her shifted fast. Suddenly, the roles she'd been promised just vanished. Meetings she'd waited months for turned into strange cancellations, and projects that once had her name written all over them were quietly handed to someone else. Goldie didn't even bother asking why. She already knew whose ego had been bruised. It spread through the industry like smoke. Directors who used to praise her started backing away. Producers who once fought to have her on board suddenly went cold. Then one brave insider finally whispered the truth. "Warren says you're difficult, not serious." That single warning said it all. There wasn't a big blow-up or some public feud. It was quiet, calculated, the slow destruction of a reputation built over decades. Years later, Goldie summed it up perfectly in 6 cold, honest words. He can't handle rejection. He punishes it. Those words cut deep, and they explained everything. What started as one simple no became a shadow that followed her into the early 80s. Warren's influence was massive, and he wasn't afraid to use it. Still, Goldie refused to sink to his level. She never confronted him, never exposed him to the press. She let silence do the talking. And then, years later, fate played its wild card, placing them in the same room again, under the blinding lights of an award show. Warren walked up to her that night, smiling like nothing ever happened, like years of quiet damage could just vanish with a grin. Goldie looked him dead in the eye, gave him a cool, polite smile, and turned away before he could even finish his sentence. No outburst, no scene. Just a calm, final message that spoke louder than words. But that moment wasn't the only scar that shaped Goldie's Hollywood story. There was another, Bill Murray. Out of all the stars she's quietly crossed off her list, his name sits right at the top. And not because of years of feuding. No, this one came from a single, unforgettable encounter. It was supposed to be just another day, a simple table read for a 1980 studio comedy. On paper, it looked perfect. Hollywood's beloved sweetheart paired with the industry's unpredictable wild card. What could go wrong, right? The executives were expecting magic, but what they got was pure chaos.
I didn't feel joyful. I was scared. I was afraid. And it wasn't anxiety. They were like panic attacks, which are different.
Murray showed up almost an hour late, totally unfazed, looking like he'd just rolled out of bed. He strolled in, dropped his half-finished coffee right on the script, and said with a smirk, "Now we can start." That one move set the tone for everything that followed. Goldie felt it instantly, that uneasy shift in the air, like something had gone off track before they even read the first line. Still, ever the professional, she gave her best, her warmth, her timing, that effortless charm everyone loved. But before she could finish one of her lines, Murray cut her off mid-scene, flashing a grin that wasn't meant for her. It was meant for the room. He suddenly tossed out a sharp, mocking line. "Why don't you try acting like you've done drama before?" The room erupted in laughter. Everyone laughed, except Goldie. She didn't snap back, didn't try to defend herself. Instead, she calmly closed her script, stood up, and walked right out. No scene, no shouting, just pure silence that hit harder than any comeback ever could. By the next morning, the studio got the message loud and clear. Her reps sent a short, direct note. Goldie Hawn was no longer attached to the film. No press statements, no drama in the tabloids, just a quiet exit that spoke volumes. She vanished from the project with zero explanation, leaving everyone wondering what really went down behind those closed doors. Later, in a rare private chat, Goldie summed it up perfectly. "He thinks unpredictability is genius. I find it exhausting." That one line said everything. From that day on, she started choosing peace over chaos. No more working with so-called creative geniuses who used cruelty to look clever. She walked away from male-dominated comedies, turned down on-set madness, and built her career around calm, control, and respect. Years later, someone asked her straight up if she'd ever work with Bill Murray again. Her answer came smooth, steady, and final. No anger, no regret, just truth. No. And then there was Dustin Hoffman, the third name on Goldie's silent blacklist. This one shocked people the most because to the world, Dustin was untouchable. The ultimate actor's actor, a master of his craft, a living legend of cinema. Goldie once believed that too, until one audition changed everything. In the early 80s, she stood at a major crossroads in her career. Comedy had made her a household name, but she was ready to show a new side, raw emotion, real depth, vulnerability. When a prestigious drama started casting, producers were thrilled at the idea of pairing her with Hoffman. On paper, it looked like perfection, Hollywood royalty teaming up for a serious career-defining film. But behind the scenes, what happened next would completely shatter her admiration for him. Reality hit much harder than Goldie ever imagined. Halfway through the script read, Dustin Hoffman suddenly stopped cold. He didn't look at her with curiosity or even professional critique. His stare carried something sharper, colder. Then, instead of speaking to her directly, he turned toward the producers and said flatly, "She's still playing it like a sitcom." The entire room froze. Those 6 words cut deeper than any public insult ever could. Goldie didn't flinch. She didn't snap back, didn't explain herself, didn't give him the reaction he might have wanted. Instead, she kept her composure, finished the scene with quiet confidence, and wrapped it up like a true pro. When it ended, she smiled politely, thanked everyone in the room, and walked out before the heavy silence could break. The very next morning, her agent got the call. Goldie's voice was calm, steady, almost detached. "I'm done," she said. Then came the line that sealed it all. "I'm not fighting for respect from men who already decided I'm a joke." That was it. Clean, final, and powerful. From that moment on, Dustin Hoffman was erased from her professional world. No headlines, no public feud, just a silent, permanent goodbye. Years later, when whispers of the story started resurfacing, Goldie delivered one of her most cutting reflections ever. Some men forget they aren't directing the women in their real lives. That single line held more weight than any interview could. No anger, no bitterness, just truth, clarity, and a boundary she refused to ever let anyone cross again. Then came Chevy Chase, another name burned into her memory. The man once known for his quick wit and comedic charm became forever tied to a streak of on-set arrogance that quietly destroyed what had once looked like an unbreakable bond with Goldie. The tension between them got so thick, you could feel it in the air. Goldie finally opened up to a close friend, saying, "If I ever have to smile next to Chevy Chase again, I'll quit Hollywood." It wasn't a dramatic outburst. It was pure exhaustion after being disrespected one too many times. That moment quietly earned Chevy the number 4 spot on Goldie's private blacklist. Back in 1978, Foul Play looked like a dream team on paper. Goldie Hawn, America's golden girl, charming, witty, and effortlessly magnetic, paired with Chevy Chase, the fast-rising comedy star everyone was calling Hollywood's new king of laughs. On screen, they looked flawless together, their chemistry lighting up every frame. But behind the scenes, it was a whole different story. Chevy showed up like he owned the set. He'd mock lines, rewrite jokes on the spot, and throw off carefully planned scenes like it was all a joke. The crew tried to laugh it off, but the tension kept building. Every time Goldie got the bigger laughs, his frustration slipped through the cracks. The long silences, the side glances, the ego barely held together. And then came the moment that sealed it. Between takes, under his breath but loud enough for her to catch, he muttered, "She's lucky to be here." Just 6 words, but they hit like a punch. No yelling, no argument, just that quiet, cutting disrespect that changed everything. From that day on, the respect was gone, shattered for good. There was no public fallout, no dramatic headlines, just a silent fracture that never healed. And from that point forward, Chevy Chase wasn't just another co-star in Goldie's past. He was a name she'd never want to see on a call sheet again. After that night, Goldie Hawn swore she'd never speak about it again. The moment when her famous smile, once adored by millions, turned into a cruel punchline. And the name tied to it? Sean Penn. Number 5 on Goldie's quiet blacklist, and maybe the one that shocked her the most. She thought she'd seen it all. The arrogance, the subtle digs, the fake compliments whispered behind champagne glasses. But nothing prepared her for what came next. Open humiliation in front of Hollywood's elite, under glittering chandeliers, with every powerful name watching. It was a moment that burned into her memory forever. It happened in 2014 at a high-profile charity gala in Malibu. Goldie took the stage to speak passionately about mental health, a cause she'd spent years supporting with her heart and time. The crowd quieted respectfully as she began, all except for one table. Sean Penn leaned back, sighed dramatically, rolled his eyes, and muttered just loud enough for nearby guests to hear, "Another celebrity wellness lecture." The words dripped with sarcasm, cutting through the room like a knife. Still, Goldie pushed through, poised, graceful, and composed as always. When she finished, the applause came strong and genuine, but the sting didn't end there. Moments later, Penn smirked, glanced around the table, and delivered the line that would replay in her mind for years. She should stick to giggling. That was it, the moment her kindness was mocked in front of everyone. Yet Goldie didn't let it break her composure. She didn't call him out or show her hurt. Instead, she smiled calmly, lifted her glass in a quiet, elegant toast, and walked out of that room early, with more dignity than anyone there deserved to witness. Only when the car door shut did Goldie finally let her guard down. In a quiet voice heavy with years of endurance, she whispered, "My entire career, and I'm still reduced to giggles. That was it, the line she drew. Silent, firm, and final. From that night on, she refused every event that had Sean Penn's name on the guest list. No drama, no press statement, no need for public explanations, just distance that spoke louder than words. Years later, when someone dared to ask how she felt about him, her answer came calm and cool. Not my energy. No anger, no bitterness, just a clean break and a decision she never looked back on. Then came the name that surprised even her, Kirk Douglas. The final addition to Goldie's secret list. Not a villain, not a loud provocateur, but a Hollywood legend, someone she'd grown up respecting. And maybe that's what made the sting so much sharper. His name didn't land there because of a feud or betrayal. It was something softer, smaller, but somehow far more revealing. It started in the late 1990s at a prestigious Hollywood panel. Goldie wasn't there as a starlet anymore. She was an Oscar winner, a producer, a woman who'd earned her power and her place. Kirk Douglas, already immortalized as one of Hollywood's greats, greeted her warmly in front of the cameras. He took her hand, smiled for the crowd, and said, "You haven't aged a day, sweetheart." The audience laughed. They thought it was charming. Goldie smiled too, but deep down, the words landed wrong. It was a compliment, wrapped in a reminder, that no matter how much she achieved, some still saw her as just the pretty face from decades ago. As the panel went on, the tone quietly shifted. Kirk began speaking over Goldie, finishing her sentences, correcting her points, and smoothly pulling the spotlight back to himself every time she tried to share her thoughts. Each interruption came wrapped in polite charm, but the message was crystal clear. Her voice still needed his approval. Those watching closely could see it happen in real time. One moderator even admitted later, "You could see the switch. She went from radiant to completely closed off." Afterward, away from the crowd and cameras, Goldie finally let the truth slip to a friend. "He talks to me like I'm still the blonde in a bikini scene. I've won an Oscar." That one sentence said it all. She didn't need to rant. The exhaustion in her voice told the whole story. Goldie never made a scene, never called him out, never tried to publicly humiliate him. She kept her grace, choosing silence over spectacle. She still spoke fondly of Michael Douglas, praising his respect and kindness. The kind of man Hollywood needs more of. But Kirk's name, it quietly vanished from her conversations. Years later, while reflecting on all those unspoken moments, Goldie summed it up in one powerful line. "Some men don't deserve a second act. Not in your life, and not in your memory." The most haunting part? Kirk Douglas never even realized he'd crossed a line, or that his words had earned him a spot on her private blacklist forever. Now, with these hidden stories finally brought into the light, the shimmer behind Hollywood's perfect smiles begins to fade, showing us that even the brightest stars carry unseen scars. So what do you think? Which of the 6 names shocked you the most? Was Goldie right to stay silent all those years, or should she have spoken out sooner? Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment your thoughts. Let's talk about the truth behind the sparkle.